developing, but you're decaying. The origins of Russia. I love to study the origins of everything. The origins of empires, the origins of countries, the origins of country, the origins of culture and religion. Why is it important? A lot of people, I remember writing a paper in university, they looked at me crazy, like, why do you care about the origins? Why is all these reasons? Because the origins, if you take the foundation of anything and you wipe it out, what happens? Everything collapses. You take government. You know, if you took a church and you decided to, hey, let's get all the congregation out there, that church won't exist. The church is the congregation. There wouldn't be a priest. There wouldn't be whatever on top, right? Those people get a job. There's no people in this country. The government wouldn't exist because there'd be no need for it. The foundation of everything is very important in how it develops. If it's from, like, an abstract idea to a xenophobic belief. Everything from A to Z. Doesn't matter what it is. The origins of everything is important. How did this relationship develop at first? You know, I have, if you watch any of my other lectures on things like that, when it comes down to family, friends, anything in society, the origins. What is our friendship based on? What is our relationship based on? What in the world is our job actually based on? These things are very important. Alright? Now, tribes started to develop in Eastern Europe. And they really started to develop. And the beauty about it is, why they developed is beyond me. But logically, they developed. And with Russia, they developed in a whole whack of these tribes. This was the foundation. It's like building a house. Alright, we have concrete. We have sand. But we need a hole. We have a hole. We have a shape. You take all of these, boom, you got a basement, you put them all together. So, same thing. Now, Russia started to develop and have all these tribes. So they're like chiefs. They're based on, with these tribes. They're at war with each other, they're trading with each other. There's actually no order. And the Russian primary chronicles, the first major primary source that we actually have an understanding in early Russia and early Eastern Europe, is pretty interesting. It was chaotic. People, these tribes were slaughtering each other. There was no order. There was no purpose. There was nothing of that nature anywhere. There was nothing. It was all chaotic. It was chaotic. It was obscene. Destruction, anarchy, war, death and destruction. All over the place. According to the Russian Chronicle. Will this be true? Logically, what we know from other periods of history? Yeah, it's pretty believable that there probably was. Okay? Chances are? Yeah. Chances are. Now, pretty much two major political structural based areas started to form. One in northern Russia, pretty much Novgorod, then down, more today, present Ukraine, obviously, Kiev. So, and they're all along trade routes. They're all on a line, pretty much. Not a perfect line, but there's a line. They became trading centers. And they started to develop into towns. And they started to become a very centralized areas. So everybody had a place to go. It's like growing up as a kid, man. Just think about it. It's almost the same thing. Yeah, you look at a town and all the surrounding communities. Where does all these surrounding communities like to go? Into town. You know, everybody's drawn. Oh, man, what do you want to do? It's Wednesday night. You know what? Let's go into town. You know, you didn't go down the road to the community next to you. Because all those people in that community was going to town. It was like a centralized point. Everybody went to these cities. Right? It was where everything was. It was like stepping into a whole new world. And if you wanted to get business or trade or make any deals, you went where the most people were. It was like the meeting place. These cities. And trade was very important. So these trading centers united on an economic scale, and that's where deals could have been made. Yeah, I'm here trading some beaver pelt. What are you here for? I'm just trading some, you know, some muskrat there, you know, some fur too. So this friendships start to develop at these trading centers. Pretty much relations start to develop, not relationships, which is totally different. But you started to have relations among people. It's really, really interesting. And within Russian history, the first major thing you're going to ask yourself throughout history, there's a lot of questions. And one thing in Russian history, the first major question you come along, besides like down the road you have the peasant question and stuff like that, but you have the Norman and the Normannic question. Pretty much I like to call it basically what it is. The Viking question. Alright? You have that. And this idea came in with new discoveries in actually the 18th century among a lot of historians and scholars of the time. They started to discover new material. You know, that's why history is constantly evolving and changing, but it's based on our discoveries. So, the Normannic question came into effect. The Norse question. I'm going to read this. This is pretty, I love the way he put this. Its starting point was an entry in the Russian Primary Chronicle, or other words it's known as the Tales of Begone. I love that. It's like a twister. It makes you think. The Tales of Begone. Ah, you gotta love the Russians. We don't do, you know, the tales of the past, we would say, in the West. The tales of Begone, man. Move back, you know? Hold it. The Begone years. Tales of the Begone years. The principal indigenous source of early Russian history. Written down at various stages in the 11th, 12th centuries by monks based in Kiev, and designed to glorify the temporary ruling dynasty of the time, the Chronicle is also a key record for the stand of the time, in a time where few actual resources existed. For a complex and difficult document to understand. Now, under the years 859 to 62, the chronicler, the writer, noted that the local Slav and Finnish tribes had first rejected Russian demands for tribute, found themselves too much as loggerheads, that they decided to call upon the outsiders as Arabs and rulers. Now this is actually, I'm going to read this in time here, this is actually the primary source. It's very detailed. Now there's many reasons why. There's war, there's order, destruction, and everything. Everything was getting out. There's mostly Slavs and Finns. They're living among each other, they're fighting with each other, and they made some really, really bad deals. And so you kind of get this little mishaps happening, right? So it's really, really interesting, okay? So, now, read this right off the bat. But, question where it was written. One thing I understand, it was written in Kiev. But you gotta remember, there's two areas. There's also the Normannic Chronicles as well, up north. Very important. So, judging by that, okay, I would recommend you to take a break, because we're going to actually do a lot of reading to get more into this and questioning more.